Wife invited her ex to live with us without asking me. So I said no, but she told me I could leave if I had a problem. Now I filed for divorce, and he's bragging about sleeping with her. I, 27M, have been married to my wife, Jackie, 28F, for almost 2 years now, but I think we might be headed for a divorce over something that happened 3 days ago. So a couple of days ago, my wife brought home a friend of hers from high school who happened to be a man. This man, Andrew, was her friend back in high school, and when she brought him home, it was around evening time, so I figured that they'd just run into each other at the mall where Jackie had been and she brought him home for dinner or something. I welcomed him home and treated him like I would treat any other guest, but throughout dinner, I could just tell that there was something off about this person. The way he was talking to Jackie made me feel like they had a thing back in high school, and by the end of the evening, I just wanted him to leave, very honestly. Because he was making me uncomfortable with all his inside jokes with my wife and the way he would cozy up to her or try to touch her every couple of seconds. It literally felt like, for him, he would just find excuses to touch her on the arm or on the hand, and he was laughing extra hard at all her jokes, even the ones that were not very funny. So I guess people can tell why I wasn't comfortable with this man. And after dessert was served, I figured that he would leave soon. I tried to be as pleasant as possible despite how uncomfortable I was. But 2 hours passed, and at around 10, when he still hadn't left, I pulled Jackie into a corner and asked her what the hell was going on because this was weird since he just wasn't leaving. And only when I asked, did Jackie tell me that she had actually invited him home because he had been evicted from his house because he hadn't paid rent for the past 4 months. And now apparently, he was going to spend the night at our house and probably the next couple of days as well, until he found another apartment that he could move into. She also told me that he hadn't run into her at the mall like I had believed. But in fact, they'd reconnected on social media and had been talking online for weeks before this, which is how she found out that he was looking for a place to live and offered to let him move in with us for the time being. I was obviously annoyed about it and asked her why she hadn't consulted with me before offering to let him move in. I also told her that I wasn't comfortable with the idea of him living with us in our home because he had made me feel uneasy throughout the evening with his odd behavior around Jackie. She tried to downplay it and told me that I was just being crazy, that she was only helping out a friend in need, but I told her that I wanted him to leave, and I wasn't going to put up with this. I insisted that she talk to him and tell him to go, but she told me that she had already promised him and she couldn't break his heart this way. Apparently, all his stuff was in the car and he had moved out of his apartment today itself. She had helped him move out, and she couldn't just tell him that it wasn't happening. She was acting really weird and squirrely, so I asked her to be honest with me and tell me who this Andrew was. And as it turns out, I've been right all along about him having a thing with Jackie back in high school because she confessed that he was actually her ex-boyfriend from when she was in her senior year, and they've broken up just because she had to leave for college. I kind of freaked out at her when she told me that because the last thing that I wanted was for her ex-boyfriend to live with us, especially when it felt like he still had a thing for her. She promised me that she and Andrew were over, and had been over for a long time, but that did nothing about my insecurity. I told her that I wanted out and I wanted him out right away. I was pretty pissed off and I sounded like it too. I expected her to take me seriously, but instead, she turned around and told me that she wasn't kicking him out and if I had a problem with Andrew living with us, then I could leave instead. She told me that she was just trying to help out a friend in need and if I was so insecure that I couldn't even handle that, then I was the problem here and I should go. After saying that, she walked out of the room and left me alone in the bedroom. I was shocked that she was choosing Andrew over me, her wife of 2 years. We'd even been in a relationship for almost 3 years before we got married, so I think I should be a lot more important to her than some guy she dated in high school for a year before she left for college. I was stunned after she told me to leave and had nothing to say for a couple of seconds. When I went back into the living room, I saw that she was sitting on the couch beside Andrew, and they were laughing at some sitcom that was playing on the TV. Andrew even had the audacity to tell me to come sit beside them, and then he scooted over so that he'd be sitting really close to Jackie, and I would have to sit beside him while he cozied up to my wife. After he said that, I left and went back into the bedroom, packed some of my stuff in a bag, and walked out into the living room. I didn't even care that Andrew was right there. I told Jackie that she could either kick him out immediately and we could talk about this, or I would be leaving. She said nothing and just pursed her lips and chose to look the other way while Andrew got up and started speaking to me in a really falsely sweet voice and told me that he didn't intend to cause any problems, that he was just an old friend and that's how it was going to be. And then, he turned around and asked Jackie, "Right, Jackie?" Now I know that Jackie hates it when people call her Jackie, but when Andrew said it, she didn't seem to have any problem with that. I just sighed and walked out of the door and slammed it shut behind me as loudly as I could. Jackie didn't even chase me or try to stop me, and of course, neither did Andrew because this is obviously what he wanted all along. It was a little creepy, but once I was out of the door, I decided to linger and check out what was going to happen inside the living room once I was gone. I know it seems crazy, but I really felt in my gut that this was something I had to do. And lucky for me that I did, because I could peek through the curtain since we never really shut them entirely. And I saw that as soon as I had left, Andrew and Jackie sat side by side, and I could barely hear it, but they were having some conversation, which was definitely about me. Jackie looked upset and after a while, to my shock, Jackie laid down and rested her head on Andrew's lap where he stroked her hair. I was furious when I saw that, and in the heat of the moment, I decided to take out my phone and click a picture of the two of them in that position. They couldn't see me, but I could see them, and I made sure that I got an angle where both their faces would be visible in the picture. When I was done clicking the picture, I decided that I didn't need to stick around anymore and walked all the way to a friend's house. I could have taken my car, but I really didn't want to drive, especially when I was in such a terrible mood. I honestly just wanted to walk and think about what I'd just seen. My blood was boiling, and I felt like I just had to do something to get back at Jackie for what she was doing to me. So before I knocked on my friend's door, I decided to go online and post the pictures that I'd taken with a caption that just said, "Cheater and nothing else." After I was done posting, I knocked on my friend's door and she let me in. She had just checked her social media and she asked me what the heck my post was about as soon as she saw me. Once I entered the living room, I explained the story to her once I was sitting on the couch, and she told me that I'd gone a little too far in dealing with this because already, the comments are full of hate towards Andrew and Jackie. She told me that while she agreed that Jackie needed to be called out, posting a personal picture of them that was so intimate was probably not the best way to go about the situation, and I could also get into legal trouble for it if it actually came down to that. I heard her out, and it actually made a lot of sense, what she was saying, so I decided to go ahead and delete the image from my account. But even after I took down the post, several people continued to text me to put it back up because they thought that that was exactly what Jackie deserved. I was touched that so many people were on my side, but I got a harsh reality check when my friend told me that they didn't really care about my marriage or my relationship with Jackie, but they only cared about the gossip that they were going to get out of this. So I needed to stay out of the drama and ignore the people who were texting me because they only cared about all the drama that was going to come out of this, not about my emotional well-being. She was right, so I decided to turn off my phone for a while and do something to distract myself. It was already pretty late at night when I'd shown up at my friend's place, so after a while, I just went to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, my friend told me that Jackie was waiting for me outside in the living room. She turned up just a couple of minutes before I woke up, and even though my friend had tried to send her back home, she refused to leave without seeing me first. I thought that she was here to apologize, and I was already prepared to turn her down and reject her apology because I wasn't feeling particularly forgiving at the time. But when I went out into the living room, ready with my speech, I was in for a shock when the first words that came out of Jackie's mouth weren't, "I'm sorry, but are you insane? And what the heck were you even thinking?" I knew that she must be pissed about my post the previous night, but she seemed more than pissed off. She seemed hysterical and very upset. It all finally made sense when she told me that someone had sent that picture to her parents, and now they were refusing to speak to her, which was bad for her because she had been planning to quit her job and start her own business. She needed her father's money for that.